A Seattle area man who grew up in Hawaii and graduated from high school here was apparently murdered in Washington state. He's the son of a UH medical school professor who leaves behind 2 elementary school-age daughters. KITV4's Keoki Kerr live with that story. Keoki.
And Laura, Seth Frankel was a 1987 graduate of Punahou School who just was back in Hawaii last month, visiting his parents and his 2 daughters. Now his co-workers near Seattle and his family are in shock over his violent death. At City Hall in Kent, Washington, outside of Seattle, co-workers of Seth Frankel are in disbelief over his violent death.
I still don't believe it. I mean, I keep expecting him to walk in and sit down in his chair.
41-year-old Frankel was a video program coordinator for the city of Kent. Saturday, he was found stabbed to death in his apartment. Cuts on his hands showed he put up a fight.
Unbelievable. It's still devastating.
His father, Dr. Richard Frankel, is an emeritus professor at UH Medical School who spoke to us from his son's home in Auburn, Washington.
He was a real sweet guy. He was just nice. It was rare that you hear him say anything bad about anybody, except maybe political figures.
Seth Frankel also ran the soundboard and shot video for the Seattle Thunderbirds hockey team at this arena in Kent, where he'd often bring his 7- and 4-year-old daughters.
You'd see him down with his daughters at the player entrance where his daughters were cheering on the guys, and he was there with his daughters, and it was a nice scene, nice family scene.
How does Poolberg get to show where centered?
Frankel recently won an award for his video work for the city of Kent, but the news release he wrote about it did not mention his name, and instead of going to the video awards ceremony, he stayed home with his daughters.
He was the most dedicated father you would ever meet. He loved his girls more than anything else.
In April, he and his daughters spent a lot of time at Hanauma Bay when they visited his parents in Hawaii Kai on a 9-day vacation.
He couldn't get him out of the water when he was home. He always felt like Hawaii. Every time he landed in Hawaii, he'd say he felt like he was home.
Now, a memorial service for Seth Frankel is being held tomorrow in Kent, Washington. Police there say they have no suspects, no motive, and there's nothing in Frankel's past to give them a reason why he might have been killed. Laura?
How strange, sad, disturbing. Keoki, how was his death discovered?
Well, police there say a neighbor went to check on his welfare last Saturday morning after not having heard from him, and saw him through a window. They saw him lying on the floor of his residence, so the neighbor called police, who then entered the house and found him with stab wounds on his neck and hands and some signs of a scuffle inside. Back to you.
For the sake of his family, let's hope they can figure it out. Thanks, Keoki.